How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather Sponge. Today is November 26, 2021, and today we're going to focus on the next potential major Northeast snowstorm that could bring heavy snow throughout the Northeast and possibly close to a foot of snow in some areas in the Northeast. We're going to detail where specifically you guys will be impacted throughout the Northeast, as well as where you should expect the highest snow totals in the Northeast. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the current radar as of right now. And of course, we do have this trough that's moving through the Northeast at this time that's bringing a strong northwesterly flow as well as snow throughout the interior portions of the Northeast, which has been forecasted over the past several days. We are seeing some moderate to light snow for the most part throughout the northern portions of the Northeast, and we're even seeing snow come very close to Boston, as you guys could experience your first snowfall this year from this trough moving through, as the temperature should be just cold enough to receive some snow. While this snow likely won't accumulate right around Boston, it still at least will bring some flurries that will fall throughout the city, and it should be a nice sight to see, especially if you love snow right around the Boston area. And in fact, right around northern New Jersey, I did see my first snow flurries right in northern New Jersey today, from associated with this trough and lake effect snow. So for a lot of you guys, this will be your first snowfall, so make sure to enjoy it tonight. But we're going to talk about the next potential snowstorm that could bring potentially more major snowfall throughout the Northeast. So let's first take a look at the Gfs model at this time, and you see there's a trough I've been talking to you guys about over the past several days, and associated with this trough, it's bringing a strong northwesterly flow that's bringing this jet stream very far southward, and we're seeing a lot of cold air on the backside of this trough, and that will induce the possibility, and that will pretty much create the chance of a snowstorm occurring into early next week, where we're going to see Alberta Clipper move further southeastward, and it's gonna be, and since we're gonna see such a significant jet stream dip, that'll create a more unstable environment for this Alberta Clipper to strengthen just a little bit as this heads further southeastward into the Great Lakes region as well as the Northeast. So if we were to continue to move forward, you see that this low pressure forms right around early to midday on Saturday, where we do see a small low pressure system form right around Minnesota at this time, which is around approximately 24 hours from now. We do have a small band of snow just to the north of this Clipper system. However, compared to my previous forecast regarding this snowstorm, it is a little bit weaker than expected, which for those who don't necessarily like the snow is good news. But for those who do prefer heavier snow, this won't be very good news, since this low pressure system seems to be weaker than initially anticipated by the computer models, as it seems like the computer models didn't detect enough unstable air, or at least enough lift in the atmosphere or surrounding this low pressure system for a large area of snow to develop throughout the Great Lakes region, for a hefty amount of snow to fall. But we're still going to see heavy bouts of snow in some regions, even though the low pressure system will be weaker than expected, because you see as this moves further southeastward, you see that the area of snowfall becomes a little larger. We do see some darker contours of blue, which represents higher snowfall rates, and as this moves eastward, this is going to impact Pennsylvania, especially the upstate New York should get impacted by hefty amount of snow at times, especially close to the Great Lakes, where the unstable air is high right around the Great Lakes, such as Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. The water temperatures right around the Great Lakes are warmer than average, so that should create a more unstable environment than usual throughout right around the Great Lakes. That should enhance the snowfall if you're along the coast of one of these Great Lakes, such as Lake Erie or Lake Ontario. So right around the Buffalo area and further southward along the Great Lake coast, you need to pay close attention to this because it is likely you're going to experience potentially heavy snowfall out of this. But outside of those along the coast of the Great Lakes region, I'd say the snowfall will mainly be light, but you still could experience a very large area. A large area could still experience 1 to 3 inches, which is, of course, something you don't want to underestimate either, because 1 to 3 inches of snow, especially if it falls at a very fast clip, is something that could cause havoc along the roadways, and it's something that you at least need to be aware of and you need to shovel in your driveway, as 1 to 3 inches is certainly not something you want to underestimate either, as a large area of the Northeast could still experience 1 to 3 inches of snow. As for the Interstate 95 corridor cities, if when it comes to their chance of receiving snow, I'd say for most of the Interstate 95 corridor south of Boston, it's pretty much highly unlikely at this point you will experience snow out of this. So those right around New York City or Philadelphia, you might be disappointed to see that the snow might not come close to you guys this time around, as it seems unlikely that there's going to be this clipper system is going to be powerful enough to produce enough precipitation for snowfall to occur. While the temperatures may be cold enough throughout the Northeast to support snowfall, the thing is that this low pressure system won't really be in an environment where the air will be very unstable and there won't be a lot of lift or enough moisture in the atmosphere for a lot of precipitation to fall from this clipper system. So as a result, those right around New York City and Philadelphia and just south of Boston, you guys are unlikely to experience snow out of this snowstorm, which may be good news for some, bad news if you do like the snow. But areas further northward could still experience snow from this, and Boston could still experience snow from this, as currently the forecast is right around the dusting at this time. But I wouldn't be surprised if potentially if this low pressure system encounters a little bit more instability and if there's a little bit more lift in the atmosphere right around Northeast, that the snow total could be a little bit higher in Boston depending on temperature and the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. So we need to pay close attention to that, and based on what the European model is stating when it comes to the snowfall rate and how large the area of snowfall will be, it's pretty much very similar to the GFS model. The European model is slightly stronger than the GFS model, but they're still in very high agreement that this low pressure system will have a millibar pressure right around the upper, right around 1,010 millibars. So it'll be a fairly weak low pressure system. And it seems like they're both taking a very similar trajectory. So I'd say there's high confidence with this forecast that this will primarily impact those along Great Lakes region, as well as maybe some portions of the interior Northeast, and maybe even Boston could get involved in some snow. But outside of that, you guys shouldn't experience that much snow in the Northeast or any snow at all outside of those areas. Now, let's take a look at the forecasted snow totals from the GFS model as of Friday, as of the 18Z run. You're going to see that majority of the snowfall will be pretty much located close to the Great Lakes, close in proximity to Great Lakes, but other areas of the Northeast could also experience some snowfall out of this. So let's take a look at the accumulated snowfall when it comes to the depth of the snowfall, which is a better indicator of how much snow you should experience, because if we were to use the 1 to 10 1 inch of precipitation equals 10 inches of snow ratio, it won't be as accurate because certain snowstorms don't have that exact ratio where 1 inch equivalent of rainfall would equal 10 inches of snow. And also it only measures the snowflakes that are falling from the sky rather than the amount that stick on the ground. So it isn't as good of an indicator as depth change when it comes to accumulated snowfall. And if we were to move forward into the future, you see that You see that a large area of the interior Northeast still experiences a good area of 3 to 6 inches of snow. So if you're along the interior Northeast, such as upstate New York and Pennsylvania, you still need to pay close attention to this and prepare, because 3 to 6 inches of snow is certainly something that's going to need to be shoveled. You're going to need salt on your roadways so the snowfall doesn't overwhelm you guys when it comes to shoveling the snow, and you need to stay off the roads when your forecast is around 3 to 6 inches, because that's enough to cause havoc on the roadways, as you'd be surprised by how little snowfall accumulation could make a big impact on the driving conditions outside. So you want to make sure to stay indoors for early next week and for Monday and headed into even Tuesday. So make sure to keep that in mind throughout the Northeast for this week. And the European model pretty much agrees with the GFS model. You see that snowfall forecast is very similar for both the European and the GFS model. So you should expect a large area, 3 to 6 inches of snow for the most part in those areas. Next, take a look beyond this next snowstorm that's expected to impact a lot of the Northeast. There is also that possibility that we could see more clipper systems come close to the Northeast, which could potentially create a snowfall pattern in the future for a lot of the Northeast, because you see that after this next clipper system moves through the Northeast, you're going to see that there's going to be another low pressure system that comes close. And while the forecast is that it will eventually weaken, we still have to wait and see if that will be the case, because again, this forecast goes right around 4 to 5 days out in it, and forecasting snowstorms that far out does become very uncertain. So we need to wait and see if this holds up. The European model is disagreeing that this clipper system will move far south, or that this clipper system will form at all, as the European model pretty much weakens this next low pressure system by the Wednesday time frame. But it's at least something to keep in mind. As you see that by Thursday, we could see another more powerful clipper system come close to the Northeast and maybe dump snow in areas further southward, which is something we certainly need to pay close attention to, because that could potentially impact you guys further southward as well, and won't be just restricted to the extreme interior portions of the Northeast. So we need to pay close attention to that. And we do have another more powerful clipper system moving southward right around the 6th day mark, which is another thing we need to keep in mind over next week, as there could be a snowstorm pattern as a result of a big jet stream dip throughout the Northeast. So we need to at least pay close attention to the forecast over the next several days. Taking a look at the Arctic Oscillation Index, you see that we're expected to remain right around the negative phase. So we should expect cooler and snowier than average conditions during a negative Arctic oscillation phase. But we are expecting to eventually rebound, but by that time it will be December. So we still got maybe around a week of staying in the negative phase before we do eventually enter a positive Arctic oscillation, which would mean warmer than average conditions throughout the United States. Next, taking a look at my snowfall accumulation forecast for most of the Northeast with this next snowstorm. You see that I'm expecting a large area of 1 to 3 inches. This is impacting Albany, New York, Boston, Massachusetts. You're right on the edge of that 1 to 3 inch mark. I'd say for Boston, it should mainly be a dusting for you guys. There is that possibility you might not experience any snowfall accumulation, but there's also an equal possibility you could experience 1 to 3 inches of snow. So make sure to pay close attention to that if you're in the Boston metropolitan area and you see a lot upstate New York is under 1 to 3 inches. This extends to Pennsylvania. And in the darker blues, I'm expecting 3 to 5 inches. This is closer to Great Lakes because, of course, the lakes will have an influence on how much snow you receive along the coast of the Great Lakes, where the instability will be high. The lakes have warmer water temperatures than usual for this time of the year, so the instability will be high for more lake effect snow to occur, especially, and in some areas it could be in excess of 6 to 12 inches of lake effect snow. So that would be considered a major snowstorm for you guys. So you need to pay close attention to that throughout the coast of the Great Lakes region. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys have a good day.